One thing that we talked about last time, which I also love when we can compare kind of one place to another, we talked about Costa Rica last time as well, because a lot of people think of Costa Rica as the place to go as far as being an expat and going over there, not only for themselves to live, but also just for a real estate investment. So will you kind of talk through some of the benefits as well as the differences between Costa Rica and Panama?
Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day.
Hello. This is Jennifer J. And I'm so excited. We have a guest who's been on before, but I wanted to make sure you had an update talking about international real estate investing and Panama specifically. So we have Evie Brooks here. So welcome to the podcast, Evie.
Hi, Jennifer. Thank you for having me again.
It's always a pleasure. And of course, yeah, since we talked, oh my gosh, I feel like the whole world has changed so much. But let's talk about, first of all, just so if somebody hasn't listened to the last episode, which was quite a while ago, it was 21. Yeah, so it's been a while. So let's talk about, first of all, I want people to know who you are. So you were a trainer for Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A lot of people know that brand. And you've been a real estate investor for ages, right?
27 years. I've been doing that, yes.
Wow. So, and that's something that you're passionate about, is you're also passionate about helping people understand real estate investing so they're making good, wise decisions, right?
Absolutely. The whole education aspect of it is truly my passion. It just happens that it became an international niche for me. And when I was teaching with Rich Dad, Poor Dad in 2003 to 2012, that just became where I really, really wanted to focus. And I was in Costa Rica at the time. And then after the 2008 crash, I went to Panama and I've never looked back.
And I was going to say, and that's one of the things that you really love is the different countries that you look at the ROI, the return on investment. And, you know, one thing that we talked about last time, which I also love when we can compare kind of one place to another, we talked about Costa Rica last time as well, because a lot of people think of Costa Rica as the place to go as far as being an expat and going over there, not only for themselves to live, but also just for a real estate investment. So will you kind of talk through some of the benefits as well as the differences between Costa Rica and Panama?
Well, Costa Rica is basically a tourism only country. And that's why I left after the crash of 2008, because the exit strategies, you just didn't have multiple exit strategies. It was an investment for real estate or retirement. As far as like vacation properties. And when that crash happened, the market just did not recover in a timely manner. But Panama just kept going. It just kept clicking on because of the fact that you have the Panama Canal, you have the Cobre copper mines, you have all kinds of opportunities in Panama that you don't have in Costa Rica, with it being just a tourism only country.
And I like it because it's more of a business versus a vacation hub. It's more where there's more things. I want to almost say it has deeper roots in when things kind of get shooken up, and I would say shooken up in like, say a worldwide pandemic. So let's talk about post-pandemic Panama.
Post-pandemic Panama is wonderful. It is business as usual. The growth is incredible. Line 3 of the metro is well underway and should be finished in 2020, late 24 or 25. It's going to go all the way out to the interior of Panama near La Chorrera. And I mean, so you're going to be able to move hundreds of thousands of people without having the traffic jams that people are so familiar with in Panama, because of the new 4th Panama Canal Bridge and then line 3 of the metro. So it's very advanced. The infrastructure, the growth of the roads, the streets, the bridges, all of those types of things have become very advantageous for the country. And the growth is just, I mean, what we see happen in Atlanta, Georgia in 10 years, they get done in 2. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I love when you see efficiency, because that's definitely not always the case in many, many cities in the United States. And let's talk about that. Let's compare the United States real estate prices to Panama. So why would people want to invest if they're comparing real estate prices to the United States versus Panama?
Well, what you've got in Panama right now is a situation where you can buy in similar type places as like Montreal or Toronto or Manhattan, New York, or Los Angeles, California. And the prices are anywhere from half what you would find there up to 25% of what you would find. So, I mean, you're looking at substantial discounts comparing apples to apples. When I'm talking about a 5-star type of a property, high-rise condominiums, Italian marble, Hans Gruber type of fixtures throughout the property, what you would pay for this property in some of those markets would be as much as, for apples to apples, a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, in Montreal, Canada, New York, etc., would be like $2.5 to $3.5 million. Where there you're going to be able to get it for $400,000.
Beautiful. And are you able to rent those out for short-term rentals or only long-term, or what's the options?
Well, there's different buildings in Panama that have different guidelines and different rules, but the ones that we work in short-term rental buildings. Now, if somebody wants something specific, we'll help them find what they're looking for. However, most of the buildings that we work with are either not residential type of properties. They're more government subsidized type of investments, or they're vacation rental type properties that do have the short-term rental capability.
Beautiful. And that's something that I know that when people are looking at the ROI is if they're going to only be there for a part of the year, maybe they go down for 6 months, and then the other 6 months they want to have another option. And so how does that money, I don't know how deep you can go into this, but like, how does that money, do you have to keep that money in the country, or can you take it home with you to the United States?
Well, the way that we do it is we actually pay based on where you want us to pay, whether it's Canada, the United States, or in Panama. Now, we do have clients from all around the world, but if they're like from Israel or Vietnam or somewhere like that, we do pay them in Panama, unless they have a U.S. bank account. But we have the flexibility to do pretty much whatever you want. But as far as what's going to be best for you from a tax perspective, I'm not a tax advisor. I can't get into that. But what we do is have you work with a tax advisor and make sure that the choices that you're making are the best for you. But what I can tell you is that you're not going to be double taxed. What you pay in Panama is deducted from what you owe in, like the United States.
That's beautiful. And I definitely, it's funny. I just did an interview with a tax person. And again, he says the same thing when you start talking about lawyers, or even real estate agents. And I think you always remember, I always talk about, you need to build your yay team. And that means that you have your real estate professional, you have your tax person, you have your insurance person, you have an attorney to do your legal stuff. And make sure you actually talk to the right professional when you're asking those kind of questions. But just in general, I always want to make sure that we kind of touch on the different things. So making money when you buy a property, again, is one of those things versus, worrying about making money when you're going to sell it, right?
Right. Okay. So you've got different types of income. And it depends on how long you hold the property. Is it ordinary income? Is it capital gains income? But again, that's getting into a professional tax CPA or a tax professional financial planner or something like that. So I can't get into a whole lot of detail because I'm not licensed to do so. But yes, course. You've got all kinds of different revenue income that's going to be taxed in a different way.
And when you're looking at, one thing that I know that we talked about last time that I wanted to see you, if you could give us an update on, was finding properties at great prices that are what we would consider, I use my air quotes, off-market properties. Can you still find off-market properties?
That's what we do, is we focus on working on substantial type deals for our investors with developers. We have working relationships with some of the major developers in Panama, where we refer to them as pocket listings because you can't find them on the internet. Yeah. You can't walk into the developer's office. You're only going to be able to get them through working with our investor program. When I came to Panama in 2012, the developers were not accustomed to people like me. And they did not think like we think. But I went in and I started meeting with developers, and some of them would just flat shut the door on me. But now they have come full circle and they begged me to work with them. because of the amount of business that we bring into the country from around the world. Of course, about 85% of my business is North America. However, I have clients from all over the world: South Africa, Israel, Vietnam, South Korea, you name it, everywhere. We have clients all over the world. And so the developers want to work with us because they know when they're launching a new building or they're doing a post closeout on a building, we can take care of those properties for them. They don't have to worry about it. They know that we're going to bring good, reliable investors to them, and we get those really incredible discounts. So we talk about how you want to buy in an equity position walking into the deal, because the money is made in the buy, not the sell.
Absolutely. And so one other thing that we had talked about before, and I'm curious again, just to kind of get an update on it, is agricultural investing opportunities in Panama for organic whole foods. Will you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I will tell you that the projects that we were working with are currently, they've moved into a whole different strategy. We're now doing aquaponics and hydroponics in the greenhouses. The actual organic farming, what we call greenfield farming, has sold out with what we were working on. And so now we're working on the greenhouse type projects, which is a great opportunity. And those are projects that a lot of people are definitely interested in that don't even want to own properties. But of course, we also have projects where you could get into pre-construction or mid-construction type situations. However, you are getting in on the front end of it before the project's finished. So you're creating what we call forced appreciation. And that's really important also. That's one of the key factors, that we're always looking for multiple streams of income from every project that we do. So we're looking for equity in the buy. We're looking for cash flow for cash king, of course, for when you keep it and rent it, if you do want to rent it, are the forced appreciation, where you're able to increase the value from whatever improvements that you do, whether you buy a single family property that has a new bedroom added, or a new basement in-law suite with a bathroom and a kitchen. Or if you do pre-construction, you're also creating forced appreciation, because the value of it today is nowhere near what the value of it's going to be in 2 years from now.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things is being able to meet with somebody who understands the market and can really get an idea on kind of, we don't have a crystal ball to see what the future holds, but there's lots of indicators to kind of see the direction. Just like you were talking about the infrastructure, when you understand how important it is to have, the transportation needs are met and food needs are met, like all the basics that, again, sometimes people just don't even think about. And you don't want to live in a food desert. You don't want to live in an area where you can't get to work, or you just can't get anywhere because there's no transportation. So it's important to know that infrastructure is there, and to know kind of what the history is, because nothing stays the same. It's either getting better or it's getting worse.
Well, fortunately for Panama, the inflation is nothing like it was is in the United States. And, we've heard everybody talking about the price of eggs and the price of bread and milk and whatever. In Panama, I was just down there. I just got back last week. 2.5 dozen eggs was $4.30 versus the $10 that we're seeing for a dozen eggs in many places in the United States. I had one of my clients from New York tell us that her daughter just paid $10 for a loaf of bread in Long Island. And down it's almost $2 for a loaf of bread. So you don't have the inflation issues, even though the majority of Americanized type things that we're familiar with have to be imported. You don't see the inflation that you see here in the United States, which is a really good thing. In addition, the recovery for the GDP is very, very strong in Panama after the COVID situation. So there's no lack of employment there. The employment rates are very low. The economy's doing great. It's growing. They've got the new Panama Canal terminal for cruise ship terminal in Panama City. I mean, it's just booming.
Good. Well, it sounds like it's an exciting place to go look and see if it's right fit for you. So how can people get a hold of you if they're interested?
It's really easy. But before I give you that, I just wanted to mention a couple things to you. A lot of people don't realize that they can travel internationally to Panama without having to have a special visa. And I think this is just really important. And that special visa that typically you have to have in most countries you can travel to Panama for 180 days without having any kind of visa. If you stay for 179, leave the country for 3 days, you can come back for another 180 days. They're very friendly to the international investor. And the opportunity for investments and return on investments are non-recourse loans with the programs that we offer. And you don't even have to have a credit score to qualify. They don't look at anything. They don't do anything. I can have somebody in a deal in 72 hours from the time they call me until they're in it, sight unseen, which we did a lot of during COVID. So these are things that people just really need to understand. And to get more information about all these exciting opportunities and benefits, if you'll go to my website, eviebrookspanama.com, there's a short video, about 10 minutes there, that tells a lot of these types of little facts. We help our clients from A to Z to make it a very simple process. Everything from getting your dog here to being able to manage your property for you, to furnish your units, to whatever you want us to do. We are kind of a one-stop shop. And then we do have the whole power team that you were just mentioning a while ago, the attorneys, the CPAs, getting your visa, everything that you need is all in place. So we make it so that it's just a very simple process. Also, I have another website, which is just our operating website. It's mypanamavacationrealty.com.
Very good. Well, that is excellent. And as you know, I'm known for the yays because we're always looking for that silver lining and everything. So I'm going to ask you to lift your voice and say yay with me as we go off the air. Ready?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Yay! Perfect. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jack Canfield. You may know me as the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And if you want more help in getting from where